Right. All right, so now I want to show you how to create a table of contents. This will look at some of those more advanced text editing tools, such as using tabs, and then also what's called a leader. So there's a couple different ways you could do a table of contents. It's just a matter of personal preference. So here's one I did where the page number was first with the section next to it. Here's another one that uses the name and then uses the dots, which is called a leader, and then ideally a page number. This was an in progress version of this file where we left question marks instead of page numbers. So that's one option. So I'll show you how to do both basically. Let me go to my document. So to start with, let's say I'm going to type here. I'm going to draw a text box. I'm just going to, for purposes of this, say table of contents. Oops. And then I can put whatever sections. I'm just putting examples. You will want to match yours, what your actual pages are called. I'm just writing some stuff out for purposes of demonstrate. Spell it. Let's spell it correctly. 1L, 2 E's. Typography. Stationery. So you'd want to account for every page ideally, but we're just going to do this to start with. And then what I'm going to do for the first version, I'm going to put a number. So I'm going to say logo might be page 3, usage guidelines might be page 5, and you should put your actual numbers. Like, this is just, again, demonstration purposes. And let's say 13. I don't know, just to be. And I'm going to make the format my type a little bit. So let's make this just bigger, because normally the headline is a little bit bigger and bolder. So I'm just going to add some points. I'm also going to do something I don't know if I've showed before. But with this, I don't want I could put a full return, but let's say for whatever reason I don't want it. In the paragraph panel, there's the space after, and I might actually put in a space after. So I don't have a full return, but I do have a little bit more space here. Word. Oops. Alright, so it's going to default to whatever the existing, there's sort of default tabs with alt text, but we don't have to leave those that way. I don't know what was wrong with the cursor. And same with the number, I'm going to put a tab before. Again, it's using the default tabs. We're going to format it more to that next. So let's go ahead and we're going to open the tab panel. We could come up here to window and then locate the tabs. That's not where they are. Sorry, they keep moving where tabs are. Object layout. Missing. Alright. I don't know where the tabs panel is anymore in there. So we're going to use Command Shift and T or Control Shift and T on a PC. I have no idea why. Maybe it's under View. I don't know where tabs went to. It might just be something I know what it is. Oh, maybe Type. Okay, so it's under Type. If you can't remember the Control or Command Shift T or Control Shift T on a PC, it is under Type. So they did move where it was. It used to be a window. And that shows you how often I actually use the windows. I usually use shortcuts. Alright, so to start with, the first one, if I'm trying to match this page, actually uses, this is left aligned and then, or this is right aligned and then this is left aligned. And so I'm going to go back to that page. And so this by default, obviously left, right. So I'm going to put in a right alignment. And then I'm going to actually come here and I'm gonna guess, and then it's gonna preview for me. So depending on how close you want it to the margin, how many pages you have. So right now, most of you should, I would assume, won't get past double digit. I'm gonna just zoom in. So just allow for, when you're doing your tabs, have like the two biggest concern situations put in place. So if you know you have a single and a double are your two extremes, then make sure both of those are there when you're picking tabs, because you don't want to use a single number and then find out you don't have room for the double number. Same with if I had 3 numbers as my largest, I wouldn't want to just leave this. I'd want to actually type the third number to make sure. The next tab we want to put in is the right tab, so the opposing one. By default, it'll want to put a left one again, so make sure once you click it that you actually go back and click to make it right. And then you can determine how far you want them apart, okay? And then you can play with all the spacing, like maybe I increase my leading, that type of thing, in order to go ahead and get this in place. So that's how you can make that version. The other option, so I'm going to step back here a couple so we can do the opposite one. Just for purposes. So now I'm going to take, and I'm going to move this number, and I'm going to have the number on the other side. And you'll obviously just determine which one you want and type correctly the first go. But for my purposes, I probably could have built the file already separately, but it'll be fine for demonstration. This also shows you can change your mind and not have to necessarily go back to scratch. So for this one, I'm not going to necessarily use, like, the logo won't be tabbed in. That's going to align. I'm going to expand this so I can see my N. Now I'm just going to use the width of this column in order to set my leader. So what I want to do is between the logo and the number, let's put in a tab. Again, it'll use whatever the default tab spaces that are built in. And then I'm going to go ahead and highlight everything. Again, I'm going to use my panel. This time I only need to set one tab. So I'm going to come down here to the close to the end as I can get without actually going over. And I'm going to go ahead and change this to a right justified instead of the left, because I want it to align up nicely here on the right. And then this time I'm going to add a leader. So I'm going to add a period. I'm just typing that here in this leader panel, and then I'm hitting enter. And now it will automatically put dots until we get to the number. You are not bound, though, to use a leader of dots. You also could use the underline option, and this is how, if you ever see on a form all the perfectly lined up lines, they actually use the lines to do that. But your leader can be whatever, really whatever you want it to be. Like, I could make my leader R, and it'll do that. I don't know why I would make my leader R, but a leader is just, it will put that, whatever is in the leader, it will repeat it until it hits something else, till it hits the item for the tab. So that is how you can actually add in the dots and have it all nice and perfectly lined up. So don't try to do it yourself. Really highly recommend use these tutorials, because these are things you may not know about that are really important and can be beneficial for you. So that is how we can set up a table of contents.